Hello. You don't need to start interpreting right away. I'm going to introduce the speech first. In this speech, I'm going to talk about the World Sanitation Crisis. I'm going to talk about a UN Observance Day called the World Toilet Day. And I'm going to talk about sanitation problems in general in the developing world and how serious they are. I'm going to start the speech now. Ladies and gentlemen, last Sunday at around 7 p.m, I met a friend for a catch-up. We went to a busy, rather small restaurant in Brussels city centre. It was lovely, but one thing really got on my goat that evening. As it happens, this particular restaurant only has one toilet. Probably not ideal, and to make matters worse, it was out of order due to a plumbing difficulty. Yes, this is not ideal, but the gentleman beside me, and I use that term loosely, became almost irate when he learned the bathroom facilities were not available. He whinged and moaned and tutted, the sort of behaviour that I have an aversion to. This rather inconvenient and troublesome problem was actually fixed in about 1 hour. 1 hour, 60 minutes, which seemed like an eternity for some people. When I went home that evening, I started to think, how on earth must life be for the many, many people in the world who just don't have access to a toilet? 1 in 3 people worldwide don't have access to proper toilets. That's about 2.4 billion people, roughly 1/3 of the global population. And I'm not pulling this out of thin air. These figures come from a 2015 report put together by UNICEF and the World Health Organization. With that horrifying statistic in mind, I'd like to talk to you about World Toilet Day. Now, let me be crystal clear. This day isn't about celebrating the toilet humour of some children laughing about poo or breaking wind. World Toilet Day is an official UN observance day which takes place every year on November 19th to inspire the required action to tackle the global sanitation crisis. Let's consider the gravity of this crisis now. In the developed world, we take toilets for granted. A building without a toilet, that seems barbaric. We groan about not having cleaned our dirty bathrooms for a while. When we come across a filthy public lavatory, we want to speak to the manager. However, those smelly bathrooms that we come across in shopping centres in Europe, they are nothing compared to the disease-riddled, vile public toilets in the developing world. That's if the said public toilets are even there in the first place. There are about 4.2 billion people in the world living without safely managed sanitation facilities. That's more than half of the global population. Furthermore, approximately 673 million people are practicing open defecation. That's when people do their business in fields, bushes, and even bodies of water instead of toilets. Why? Because these people don't have access to toilets. They are too far away from them, perhaps, or perhaps they are unsafe to use. In some of these countries, crime is rife, murder is mundane, rape is just a daily reality. And of course people want to try and hold on to their dignity. Nobody wants to be seen defecating. Some people often travel long distances to quiet areas late at night or very early in the morning. Unfortunately, there are vultures who prey on this. And who are the number one victims? Women. Women who are often attacked, sexually assaulted, killed because of this. In 2014 in India, 2 girls were gang raped and then hanged after they left their homes at night to relieve themselves in a field. These girls walked a considerable distance to defecate with some sort of privacy in the darkness of the night. Sadly, these girls never made it home and were found hanging from a mango tree. The deaths of these two teenage girls drew attention to a dark reality of life for hundreds of millions of Indians, namely the lack of access to proper sanitation. The UN estimates that around 600 million Indians, just under half of the population, do not have access to proper toilets and are therefore obliged to defecate in the open. In many countries in the developing world, women are considered second-class citizens, and society hurls enough at them without being endangered every time nature calls. There's also period poverty, which of course affects women once again. In my view, even in more progressive societies, people can still be a little awkward when the subject of menstruation arises. This situation is much worse in the developing world. The subject is totally taboo. In addition, there are elderly people and people with disabilities to consider. These people can struggle to use sanitation facilities in general, a struggle that can become inhumane when these facilities are miles away. Another vulnerable group in society that is heavily impacted on by the sanitation crisis is children. Poor sanitation leads to diarrheal diseases, and every year over 500,000 children under the age of 5 die due to such diseases. Many of these deaths could be prevented if the victims had access to safe drinking water, adequate sanitation facilities, and proper hygiene resources. I actually read an article recently in preparing for this speech. It was about sanitation in general, and more specifically about hand washing. And what I discovered knocked me for 6. 4 out of 5 people in the world do not wash their hands after going to the toilet. Washing hands with soap and water reduces cases of diarrhea by almost 50%. Yet around the world, only 19% of people wash their hands with soap after defecation. In order to try and combat this sanitation scourge around the world, aid organisations feel that raising awareness is of utmost importance. This is how World Toilet Day came about. In 2001, the World Toilet Organization, a global non-profit organization, coined this concept to raise awareness about sanitation issues around the world. And in 2013, the UN officially recognized November 19th as World Toilet Day. This day has helped raise awareness amongst governments and in many different communities. This day has also helped to create dialogue on a subject that is considered a little beyond the pale by many people. Awareness raising isn't the only positive impact of World Toilet Day. The percentage of people who practice open defecation has decreased significantly. Comparing the years 2000 and 2017, there has been a decrease in open defecation of 38% in Central and Southern Asia, of 12% in Sub-Saharan Africa, and in Latin America and the Caribbean, 2% of the population practiced open defecation in 2017, compared to 10% in the year 2000. World Toilet Day has encouraged governments to address sanitation problems and to take action. UN agencies, private companies, and NGOs have come together to tackle this problem in an effective manner. That said, there is no silver bullet. There is still a mountain to climb. Many people from rural areas, people from the poorest echelons of society, continue to struggle as they do not have access to adequate sanitation facilities. The UN aims to continue to shed light on this problem. It is aimed that by 2030 there will be sanitation for all. As for us privileged people, I think we should try and be considerate and conscious of this very real problem in modern society. So, the next time you're in a shopping centre and you need to see a man about a dog, try not to complain if there's a small queue for the bathroom. Thank you very much.